warriors chasing gold. This game's ours, it's ours to hold. One shot left, one play to run. Make it count under the setting sun. It's game time grind. All or nothing on the line. Push through the pain. Leave it all in the rain. It's game time grind. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. It's game time grind. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find.
Yeah. Cameras on. Stadium buzzing. They brought a Persian to the Big Ten problem. Yeah. Cameras on. Stadium buzzing. They brought a Persian to the Big Ten problem. Whoa. Walking right on my back, scarlet on my hat, they know where I'm at. I lead the Persian talk slick on the set, laugh in the mic, make the fan base sweat. Old school rug, new school flex, call out plays like I'm reading the text. From the 50-yard line to the tailgate smoke, I turn stats to shots, let the rivals choke. I lead the Persian, say my name when the beat start jerking. Bucket talk, got the whole room swerving. If you soft, change the channel, you nervous. I lead the Persian, big game vibes, whole squad lurking. Helmet shine and the trash talk burning. Every show, every week we working. White stripes on the field, that's runway lights. I make legends out of long shot nights. Saturday's war, I just tell that story. Turn field turf into fame and glory. Call it how I see it, straight cut, no filter. If you hail from the north, better brace for the blister. From the horseshoe seats to the couch at home, when you hear this voice, yo, ready? No.
Turn it up, turn it up. Tampa in the building. Steve walking like what? New week, new smoke. College crowd on go. Steve talking that talk. Make a mascot fold. Green drip on the fit. Gold shine on the wrist. If you're lining up wrong, he gon' put you on the list. Steve what it takes. That Bulls talk. Watch him run it. USF on the screen. Whole squad, they be bumping. Hard hits, loud trash. If you saw it, better duck. Welcome to the show, little bro. That's tough luck. Logo on the cap. Headset full stats. He don't care about feelings, he just care about facts. Call out your team, then laugh at your scheme. If you see green horns, charging better clear out the screen.
It's that time. Mystic in the building. Turn that on. Mystic.
Crowd so loud, got the rival silent. Run that score up, ain't scared of nothing. Mystic on the field, yeah, we came to crush them. Pass, pop, helmets clash. Whole squad hungry, ready to smash. Talk big talk, better back that breath. Mystic on your line, that's a promise of stress. Trash talk flying on the 50, say something. Hands in the air, whole section stay jumping.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Ali the Persian, and this is the Game Time Grind here on 4th and 10U. You might be watching us on the Finn's Tailgate. You might be watching us on X. If you're on X, come over to the YouTube side. Come over to @4th and 10U. Subscribe. Turn on the notification bell, right? Like, check out some of our other content. Come join the community, right? We're trying to grow this channel. I have some big news that's going to be happening soon. We may have a special guest tonight, possibly. He may or may not be able to join us, but he comes through, I'll definitely bring him up. But before we get started, what's up, Steve? What's up, Mystic? Mystic's on time. What dimension are we in that he is on time?
We're in the fourth mystic dimension. Oh,
The fourth Mystic? Okay. I was just curious if maybe your premiere of your next Twitter space that you're hosting got canceled or something, and you were able to show up on time.
oh, dang, yeah, you're right. I'm such a busy man. I had time to pencil this in tonight. Oh, kid, happy to be here, man. Happy to be here, man.
Definitely, man. It's been 2 weeks since the national championship game. I want to say maybe a little bit more. It's been a little bit more than that, hasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit more, but not too much more.
Yeah. It's been kind of a rough 2 weeks, but it's all right. I know we were supposed to go last week, but unfortunately, people at home, I'm sorry, but stuff gets in the way. Life gets in the way, and you got to do what you got to do. But what's up, Steve? We haven't heard from you yet. You okay? I know you weren't feeling pretty good last week at all, but how's everything now?
I'm back and stronger than ever. But I'm just feeling I'm feeling the graciousness of Mystic giving us his presence early and on time. Look at that.
Yeah. I know you said you had an ear infection. It must be from listening to all that craziness in Mystic Spaces on Twitter, probably.
I guess so.
Man, it really be your own people sometimes, guys. It really be your own people sometimes.
Oh man, yeah. But hopefully you guys had a good weekend. There was a lot of news this past 2 weeks. A lot of news, and we kind of got to play a little bit of catch up. No pun intended. Catch up. When it comes to college football and what's going to happen next year and the year after for college football, because the college football playoff, from my understanding, has a little bit of a different schedule now. Did you guys hear about this?
No, sir.
Yeah, from reports that I've seen, the college football playoff may not be played on New Year's Eve anymore. They are going to take New Year's Eve games out of the picture. And also, with that being said, they are basically going to have the college football playoff, from my understanding, on a 30. I read somewhere where it's like a 38-day turnaround time. Like the whole process is going to take 38 days total.
Dang.
Yeah, so it'll be very interesting. I'm curious to see how that turns out. That's what the end result is. I don't know. Do you prefer them messing with the schedule, or would you have rather prefer them to extend the playoff to more teams? Because I know that they voted against that. Like, how do you feel about that?
I think you have to. I want them to grow this to the right amount of teams, but also have the right system in place. And I think you have to work the system before you can expand the teams. I think that's kind of the basis of kind of moving the schedule and find out the best way to really set this thing. And then you can say, okay, if we need to add, another 6 teams or whatever, we can do it then because we have the structure to do so. But I think their structure needs to be revised to fix this schedule so we don't have, like we talked about in earlier shows, that massive gap in between for certain teams. Instead, there's only one team to have that bye now to even do anything with it. So let's continue to kind of cram it together to really have good college football and not really have any doubts, if you will, for teams.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I agree. I mean, the biggest thing for me is we got to have it set in stone what qualifies you to be in the college football playoff. And for me, that has to be worked out before you can work out scheduling, before you can work out the balance of, the seedings and stuff. The reason being is, I mean, we've seen it the past 2 seasons where teams just don't belong in this college football playoff. Tulane didn't show me anything that was, exciting, and neither was the other team. What was that other team that played this year? That was absolutely. They just didn't have a prayer in the whole game.
Madison.
James Madison. Yeah.
those two teams, they didn't really belong, right? I was kind of on the fence about Ole Miss, but they kind of surprised me. Especially the fact that they had to piece together a coaching staff, and they got pretty far with that coaching staff. I was actually kind of surprised. But it is what it is. So I just think it's very, how do I say this? I think you got to figure out a way that we don't have to sit here and debate if Miami or Notre Dame should be in, or if Texas or another team should be in, right? Texas, I felt, was more deserving than James Madison or Tulane. Just to be honest about
There's
it.
only one way to do that.
Go ahead.
You have to restructure the divisions, because the reason Tulane was there is because they won the AAC. And the way it sits now, if you're a Power 5 conference, you get an automatic seat, especially from the AAC.
Mhm.
That's how, like, we were joking in the space the other day, and even though I do think it is possible that USF could make the playoffs next year if they play well, because all you have to do is win the AAC.
I understand, but my point is that we shouldn't be sitting here and having a 2-3 week debate if a team is deserving or not.
And that's why you have to restructure, because that way because the problem is the AAC automatically get a bid in. The team who wins that division automatically gets a spot. And now the other thing that they're doing is Notre Dame automatically gets a seat in the playoffs.
And I think that's ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
Force them to join a conference, right? Just like the rest of us, they should have to play the same amount of games, go through the same process. All right, this is ridiculous that you're going to sit here and automatically hand. What is that famous term they used to say? Participation trophies, right? I think that they make winning, right? The whole joy and allure of winning is gone with these rules that they're putting it in, right? By giving Notre Dame an automatic bid in it, they don't even have to win. They could just play all their backups for most of the season and not have to worry about starters. You know what I'm saying? That's what worries me. They're taking it away from the game. And then think about this, right? Well, I'm gonna take Notre Dame for a ride to make up all the NIL money I can. Go to Notre Dame, automatically get in the college football playoff. What work do I need to do? I don't need to do any more work as an athlete. I'm collecting a paycheck. I'm automatically getting in the college football playoff. Do you see my point? It takes the hard work off of the team's back when you give out these participation trophies. And that I don't like. I don't like that for sports at all. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be football. It could be soccer, hockey, baseball, swimming, gymnastics, whatever. I don't really care. You're deserving based on the hard work that you put in throughout the entire season and what you accomplished throughout the season, right? You're not handed out anything. And the fact that Notre Dame is arguing with the ACC or arguing with different teams because they're demanding a handout, I'm sorry, but that shit is soft as hell. That's what I got to say about that. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I've never liked the way Notre Dame approached a lot of this whole, modern day not being in a conference, complaining, kind of what you said, getting the automatic bid. Like, go be a part of a conference and get over yourself. If you're really as good as you say you are, you should be able to compete with the best. It's just that simple.
I absolutely agree. And I know my team and this gentleman I'm going to bring up have some history that is kind of rocky as of late. But I still respect this guy. Coach Holtz, who's on hospice right now, if you didn't know, right?
Yeah.
No, unlike some reports, he has not passed away yet, just so you know. But he's on hospice and it doesn't look good. And my prayers are with him and the Holtz family. I think right now, if he really knew this was going on, I think he would come out yelling and screaming, because he is the type of guy that he knows what it takes to get hard work done. He's a hard work kind of guy. You know what I mean? And I feel bad that I see his team just become what they are. And I'm not sitting here talking as a Ohio State fan, talking some trash about Notre Dame. No, I'm talking about the whole process alone. It doesn't have to be Notre Dame. Take Notre Dame out of it. The whole process alone, even NIL, has made college football soft, in my opinion. And the reason I feel that is when you're paying millions of dollars to athletes, even more than a rookie NFL contract in some cases, or as much, what work do they have to really put in to show if they're already getting the paycheck? What else is there to do? You know what I'm saying? That I feel like NIL and in handing out automatic bids into college football has really changed the trajectory of not just the game itself, but the talent and the athletes that are a part of it. You know what I mean? By telling you don't have to work as hard because you're automatically going to get there. That means that as an athlete, I don't have to drive. I don't have to put in the work. I don't have to develop. I'm automatically going to get there. Those are my opinions. Now, some people may have a different opinion. That's fine. I'm just giving my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel. What do you guys think? Do you think by handing out automatic bids in conjunction with NIL and how that's affecting the game, do you think the game has become a little bit softer, or are you worried about the longevity of the talent that could come from college to the pro level?
I mean, I think we see the reflections on the league now where it's like it's always been next man up gets highest paid contract, but it just seems so magnetized because of the NIL. And we're even having conversations these days where it's like, is he even going to go to the league? Like, he's a later round pick, but he's a 4-star recruit. And he's getting more money in NIL every year than he'll see in the league this year. Like, you're talking these kids might get $2 million this year in NIL, but his paycheck's going to be like $650,000. Like, it is just the culture of NIL is slowly leaking to the NFL. And you're absolutely right. I don't want to say soft, but definitely entitled. And that leads to people not putting in the work. So you end up with the schools that don't have the most NIL. And that's where and it kind of leads to why there are guaranteed teams in the playoffs, because you have these teams in these divisions that don't fork out the big money to NIL. Like the AAC isn't known for putting out big NIL money. And that's why their division's considered weak, because they don't have a bunch of 5-star recruits. They don't have the big names coming into that conference. It's just a bunch of teams with, some 3 stars, maybe at most a handful of 4-star recruits on your team, just battling it out. Like Iowa's that way too. Like Wisconsin, like, you see what I mean? Like, these teams, and that's why they have the guarantees, because they come from these conferences where they don't have the best competition. But should they be X-nayed out of the playoffs just because they come from a conference where they're kind of just stuck there with all the meandering teams? Like, if they go and they win most of their games, where they're an 11-win, 12-win team, but they can't get into the playoffs because they're perceived to be from the AAC or wherever.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And in addition to it, you kind of look at the NFL for a second. I know we're a college football show, but let's look at the NFL. This past off season, you had one of the longest holdouts for second round talent ever, right? They were holding out for guaranteed money. And why? You haven't accomplished anything. You haven't even stepped foot on the field. You know what I mean? And it has that NIL feel like I'm entitled. I got drafted, so that should be enough for me to get a fully guaranteed contract in the NFL. I'm sorry, but only a handful of those guys even looked the part to say they were deserving of their fully guaranteed contract. Let me ask you, our team alone, right? Jonas Sivanaya, right? Did he deserve his fully guaranteed second round contract that he got? Exactly. You could hear
absolutely not.
He didn't at all. So absolutely. So you're absolutely that's my point is like players knowing the fact that if they can get to the second round or not even the second round, now that there's been a entire round paid a fully guaranteed contract next year or this coming up season in the draft, we're going to see it where the third rounders want their fully guaranteed contract and the fourth rounders want theirs and the fifth rounders want theirs and the seventh rounders want theirs, right? You're going to have fully guaranteed contracts for everybody, right? Including the first round. You might as well make rookie contracts fully guaranteed. What work do I have to do in now? I don't have to do any work, really. I'll get drafted. I'll just do just enough to get drafted. I'm fully guaranteed. I don't have to put in hard work. I don't have to sit there and shed tears or blood and sweat and put in grind or take hits. You know, why do I have to put my body on the line? I'm collecting the paycheck. This is easier than hell. Who needs school at this point? You know, those are the things that are kind of worrying me about college football and these changes. And I feel like if they address certain things, I think it would definitely make things better. Give you an example, the bowl games, right? This season we had arguments, do the bowl games matter at all or anymore? Well, they need to make those bowl games relevant again. They got to make them matter in some conjunction to the college football playoff. It just has to happen, right? And let's say you cancel all those bowl games. Well, there goes tradition, history, and opportunity for families to be able to see another college football game before the season's done. Right? That's basically what happens. You're going to have a lot of people sitting on the couch eating potato chips like Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. That's the truth. I hate to say that, but that's what happens when you take the relevancy of a tradition that's been going on for almost 100 years. So those are my thoughts on the state of college football right now. I'm kind of worried. I'm hoping some of these changes make things better. To give you an example, I mentioned the scheduling changing that's going on. They're trying to make it where the first round games to the national championship is made in exactly 38 days. So those games are going to be played in 38 days, Mystic. It's going to be very interesting. I still think that, do you still think with that kind of scheduling, is there still that how could I say it? What we want to call it, like a weakness when it comes to being the bye round. You know how we were saying that there's 2 weeks in between the first round and playing the bye, whoever got the bye. Remember how we were talking about that and how it takes the leverage away from the teams that won and got the first round bye because they don't have that edge anymore.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So do you think playing a 38-day schedule, does that fix things? I mean, I guess we have to see how it's laid out, I guess.
Right. I think that's where I'm at. Like, I like the sounds of it. I just kind of want to see what are they meaning by it? You know, give me your layout. Let me see what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just excited again to see some change, to see if it's going to improve that. You know, it looks like they're trying to improve the overall, again, what is the playoff. So let's see if this helps benefit the situation. Or if it just continues to add to the problem, right?
I want to shout out to this guy named Niners. He seems like a cool guy. Don't make these kids any soft than what they already are with guaranteed money before they've earned it. Absolutely. They haven't earned anything. They haven't earned anything when it comes to the pro level, let alone, I get it, in college football, they're playing games. I get it. But even in college football, you got some people making $4, $5, even up to $8 million, from my understanding, that don't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mystic. I didn't mean to do that.
No, you're good. I mean, I actually finished my take really, so that was perfect on your part.
I mean, we've talked about this with the league, right? Like the league, and again, I'm not the biggest basketball guy, y'all know this, but if I'm correct, like their contracts are fully guaranteed. And I feel like that's where this league is going. Like, I get the concern. And what I was saying earlier, right? Like, you're guaranteeing this money, and to what you were saying about like it's you're creating this where they don't have to do much to earn anything. Those late round picks, even if their money's guaranteed, you're talking pennies on the dollar. They're losing money by going to the league. So the fact that they're even going to league, they do have something to play for. Because and again, it was a stupid comment when he said it, but look at what the old Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown said. You can't live on, what was it, $12 million or whatever, $100 million. You can't live on that. Like, these kids aren't even sniffing that after the fourth round. They're getting guaranteed $2 million over 4 years, something like that. So they still have money to play for and reasons to get on. But the early round guys, the first, second, and third rounders, you have to do something to incentivize these contracts or lessen them if you're going to continue to make them fully guaranteed, because you're just giving away money to these kids. Like, and I don't think it was necessarily that Jonah was not putting in the work, because I do think he was putting in the work, but he didn't live up to the expectation of getting a fully guaranteed deal. Like, yeah, it's $11 million. Whoa, over 4 years, but you're still getting a fully guaranteed contract where like $11 million was like, wasn't that what we gave Dan Marino when we extended him? Wasn't his contract like $11 million? And that was for a franchise quarterback. You're getting franchise quarterback money as a rookie.
So I want to stop you there real quick, just real quick. I want to inquire about something. So I get it, depending on where you live. Like if you live in New York City or you live in California, the tax rate is absolutely ridiculous. I'm willing to bet that maybe even in the Seattle area, the tax rate's pretty ridiculous as well. But my question for you, and even not just the tax rate, we're talking about cost of living in general, just cost of living alone. That means rent, food, anything that you need, your electric bill, all that stuff. You're talking about $12 million is not enough to live. I think it depends on how you invest your money. If you have a smart person representing you financially, they could put your money into, and before I even make this comment, please know we're not financial gurus. I have no certification for finances or anything. I'm just telling you easy stuff that you can Google search. You can Google search this, right? But I'm not giving you any financial advice here. That's not what I'm doing.
Well, and also to be clear, I wasn't saying that I believe that either.
No. I'm commenting on what Antonio Brown said, not what you. I know you don't necessarily believe that, but I'm commenting. I'm adding something to that conversation. These players with a fully guaranteed contract, let's say it's $2 million, right? And let's say after taxes, they collect maybe $1.5 million, maybe a little bit more of that, but we'll just say $1.5 million. That means they have $500,000 spending money. In addition, you could take $1 million of that money and put it into a high yield savings account and just sit there and live off of the interest yearly. So let's say they put $1 million into the savings account, and let's say they make enough to where they have $5,000 they can put in to the high yield savings account on a monthly basis, right? Just in 1 year alone, they can sit there and accrue $34,000 just 1 year on a regular high yield savings account that the APY is about 3.3%. You put that over their lifetime of their contract, which is, we said second rounders are 4 years, right? Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
Basically, they're going to be making over a 4-year period of time almost $400,000 that they'll have saved up. If you can't live off of that kind of money, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you need better financial assistance.
And
at this
that's not
point.
including their sponsorships. That's
Exactly.
not including their businesses. Like
Nothing.
I always said, and I had a buddy of mine who used to work with me. He was like a minor leagues football player.
So,
You know what I mean? Like he played for like the local guys and they had their own championships and stuff. But he was always asking, like, how do you make your money in the NFL? And I'm like, well, if you really think about it, most of these guys, when they make their money, it's not through their actual contracts because they are getting taxed out the wazoo. They get the contracts are almost the bread on top. They're making their money in their endorsements, the money they made from now NIL in college. Like the NFL rookie contract is really just that. It's just money on top until they get their second deal.
absolutely. And I don't listen, I'm not telling people how to spend their money at all. And, I'm not telling you what type of life to live. But what I will tell you is that you're making way more money than even I make. Me and based on these calculations, if you think about it on a yearly, you're one person making, and I'll divide this into 4 years. We'll just say over $100,000 a year. That's more than I make. I have to equate my wife's income and my income to get over $100,000 a year, right? So I don't get when you say $12 million, not you, I'm talking about Antonio Brown. How's that not enough to live, bro? You can go live in Tennessee or other states that the cost of living is very low and live very peacefully and beautifully. I don't get it. I really don't. But what I'm worried about, forget about what they can, how they can live in all that. I'm worried about the fact that this is going to put an issue on the development and talent that we have coming down the pipeline. It's going to stunt their growth and they're not going to be playing to get better. They're just going to be playing just enough to get paid. And I don't like that. That's what I'm worried about when it comes to NIL. Some people said, no, NFL doesn't do that. There's still dogs out there. They're still going to play hard and get drafted and all that and whatnot. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. But over the past 2 seasons, I've really noticed a drop off on talent where second rounders are not playing to the level that they should. And you're seeing more and more third, fourth, fifth, even seventh rounders making teams becoming a thing. We'll talk about Kader Kohu, one of our defensive backs for the Miami Dolphins, undrafted free agent, right? Undrafted rookie, signs with us, and he ends up becoming really good. You know what I mean? Well, and I think based on what I've seen, he should have been a drafted player. Just my opinion.
No, that's bad.
So those are the things that I'm talking about. Is that I feel, while I do think I agree players should be paid, I think the money is getting so crazy that if I'm a player, I know I'm getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. What do I have to do? I can feed my whole family. Everything's going to be great. It's going to be a free paycheck, free ride, right? That's what I'm kind of worried about, and that's why I brought it up. Now you're getting into even situations in which we'll kind of move it a little bit, our conversation. You got players suing the colleges over eligibility now. You have Tennessee who their quarterback, Joey Aguilar, is suing the NCAA over eligibility, right? There was even a lawsuit that was about to happen with the quarterback out of Washington. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he committed and then he decided, nope, I don't want to do this. I want to go to a different team. Forget which team was that he was trying to go to. But even then there was issues where there was some legal and financial issues and there was going to be a lawsuit until he finally recommitted, ended up staying in Washington. So it's just getting this whole shenanigans in college football is getting kind of crazy. And I think the NCAA has to go. They need some type of oversight that's actually going to lay the hammer down when it's needed and not sit here and play games based on money.
I will say I do, even though like I understand like how the fans feel about it, but look at what happened with the quarterback they just got. He had to sue his way out of the school because he signed an NIL deal and wanted to leave and go to Like they tried to make him honor the NIL deal. And we're getting to a point now where they don't even have to honor them shits. If they don't want to be there, they can just, I'll sue you and get out of this.
CCRR says, I've noticed a pattern of 5th overall picks being busts. That's a conversation for a different show, but yes, I agree with that one. What is up, Lewis? I see you there. Go ahead.
Wasn't there a rule that used to be like if you signed with a school, you were forced to be there for 2 years? Didn't that used to be a thing?
I think there was a 2-year waiting period for you to transfer. Yes, that used to be a rule. And that's another thing. This whole transfer thing. They need to enforce it. But it's this whole transfer thing is so ridiculous. I think it should be a rule that you're only allowed to either transfer once if it's just like your first time and you're just making the decision because you think it's the best thing for you. But then you have like an emergency one in case like your head coach leaves or there's some type of I don't want to say human rights, like some type of form of discrimination or something like that should allow you to leave the school as well. But beyond that, I don't think it should be like, oh, you're going to pay me. I'm going to collect 800,000 here, 400,000 there. I'm going to go to this school and make another 150,000. No, I don't think that should be a thing. You know what I mean? I think that's too ridiculous. But yeah, let's move on from this. We're gonna get into some Senior Bowl action. But before we do that, I have some news that I'm gonna break here. And yeah, we got some breaking news. So let's get into news. This is 4th and 10 breaking news. So, as I said earlier in the show, we are going to be doing things a little bit differently over the next several weeks. We are going to be focusing more on the road to the NFL draft from a college football perspective. So me, Mystic, and Steve are going to be breaking down different positions on different weeks. We're going to be talking about combine, players, pro days and whatnot. And there's going to be a lot of excitement here on the show. Along that way, we're really trying to grow the show. So we really ask everybody that's watching at home, that's on the Finn's Tailgate side, if you're not watching from over there, or if you're on X, come over to @4th and 10U on YouTube. Please subscribe, hit the like button on your way out as well. We really appreciate that. But we have some giveaways. I was talking about buying a hat of your favorite college football team. That is still in the works. But we have a new partnership with a buddy of mine. We're going to be giving away trading cards. Yes, real decent, actual trading cards. Mostly college football. There might be some pro football players, rookie cards that we're going to be giving away. So what's going to happen is when we finally get to 100 subscribers, which we're on our way there, we're going to have a giveaway for the hat, which I'm going to give away to a lucky random subscriber. We're just going to put all your names in a bowl, and I'm going to pick one, and whoever gets it gets it. And then next one is going to be for a pack of trading cards. And there will also be a partnership with this company that I'm working with, which will have a QR code, and you guys can get certain discounts on trading cards, even individual cards that you're looking for, not just packs. So like, for example, if there's a certain player that you want, I can make sure that guy hooks you up with that certain player that you might be looking for, or a certain type of card, and it doesn't have to be college football, even basketball, pro football, whatever. But we're going to be giving those away on the regular. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of news with that as well. I was supposed to have him on the show today. I believe he got busy at his other job, unfortunately. So we will come back to that in a different day. But let's keep it moving here. People want to talk about this national championship game, man. So what'd you guys think of the game?
It was fantastic. I think it was everything I expected it to be. Obviously, I didn't necessarily have all my picks up to, through the college football playoff super great, but, I had said the way Miami was running, I was like, really, when it comes down to it, the only other team that I would pick over them was going to be if they ran into Indiana. Otherwise, I was going to pick them to win out. That was, in previous episodes. So it just kind of goes to show there's just something different to Indiana this year with Kurt Signetti. I do think that that's something we need to pay attention to. I don't think it's a one and done situation by any means. You have a guy that knows he wants to be in college football. He has no intentions in leaving and going to the pros, and that could make the Indiana Hoosiers a very dangerous place to play football.
It was very, very interesting. I definitely think Kurt Signetti is not a one and done kind of guy. I think he's going to continue to do what he does best. What will be key for him, though, and this is something that I've been kind of arguing on the other side with the Miami Hurricanes, you can't expect to be able to go into each year looking for that transfer portal quarterback that's going to take you for the long run. At some point, you need to start developing the players that you have in-house, right? Not saying that Indiana's not going to do that. Not saying Kurt Signetti is not going to do that. But it was very interesting that the day after the national championship win, we got news on Mendoza. And it wasn't Fernando, but his brother transferred to Georgia Tech. Did you see that?
I know, very interesting.
There was no conversation. It was instantly. I was like, did he not like it in Indiana? What was the issue? What are your thoughts on that? It was just very surprising that he didn't stay to try to develop there or anything.
Without knowing, what exactly the situation is, what was said, why he had left when we heard there was going to be a quarterback competition, leading into next season. I don't know, man. I'm not quite sure. It kind of makes me wonder if Kurt, might have told him, maybe what's best for you is the transfer. I could see Kurt doing something like that. I don't know. I don't think it's going to hurt Kurt Signetti at all. I think he can identify what he needs in his offense to be good. And I think we should expect his defense to always be one of those top defenses in college. I think that's what it is.
Another interesting nugget on that, I don't know if you guys saw or not, but the Indiana's quarterback coach just left for the NFL as well.
Yeah, that is true. But, with all the hype that they're on, they just won the national championship. They have a real winner at head coach. Do you really care who the QB's coach is going to be? You know what I mean? I think he should have waited and, at least give it a year before he, left. I mean, I don't know what year of eligibility he's on. So it could be that. But then again, they didn't wait very long, but Indiana got their next quarterback, Josh Hoover, the top quarterback who played in the Big 12 for TCU.
Love that move for them.
Oh yeah, that is a great move. So, I mean, they didn't wait. But my point is that I think that you can only play the transfer portal game for so long. You have to start developing your QBs in-house, because if you don't, that's going to disrupt your recruiting path for these top QBs and whatnot. Because if I'm a QB coming out of high school and I see that every year you're just getting another transfer portal guy, I don't want to come there. I'm going to go to some place in the Big 12 where they develop QBs, or maybe find me a Big 10 team that needs a QB. You know what I mean? I'm just giving you an example. And, you and I know all the rumors that Miami Hurricanes had trying to find a QB to come there. And even though they had guys that were in-house, it's just I don't know. It's not the path that I thought Signetti would take. I know he had to build it primarily with transfers, but now that he's won it, couldn't he, rely on winning the national championship to help him recruit players to his team? Couldn't he do?
I'm with you, but maybe we need to think in another sense. Maybe Kurt likes to develop everything else, but find that, in college terms, veteran quarterback
Mm-hmm.
that would just finish the team. Everything else is in place. The team's ready. It has good offense. It can run the ball. You got wide receivers. You got a defense that can hold your opposing offense to what you need. You just need to get offense or a quarterback to come in and be an elite game manager.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's what, again, we're going to see in year 2. And then I think we may, we will revisit this conversation, because I think year 2, after winning that, national championship, is going to be all telling. Is it going to be like you're talking about? Does he need to develop that guy, or does he still find the guy to where Indiana's still rolling again?
I hear you. Maybe he's really just trying to maximize the roster that he has now. I get that. I mean, you can make that argument slightly for the Miami Hurricanes, who also signed a new QB after I said they need to start developing their QBs, because they've done this, 3, maybe 4 years in a row now with the transfer portal.
Yep.
They went and got, what's his name? Darian Menza. I think that's how you say it. Darian Menza out of Duke. The guy had 35 touchdowns and over almost 4,000 yards. So heck of a player. I think it's awesome for him. And I think he's coming to a much more talented team and a better head coach, in my opinion. But that guy, Coleman, is still sitting there, right? He's in the room. When am I going to get my chance? When am I going to be able to show you the talents that I have? You look at Ohio State, for example, and I know I talk a lot about them because that's my team. This is a college football show. We have Julian Sayin, right? He wasn't part of our recruiting plan. We got him in the transfer portal when Saban decided to retire. However, this is the big however, he was redshirt freshman, and ultimately he has 3 more years of eligibility left? So that makes sense. But how many times could you see a team that continuously went and got a one year quarterback rental each year? You can only do that for so long. And for me, that's the problem that I think that Miami has. They've never really been able to find a real guy to be their guy outside of Cam Ward. But even then, they had to rent him for 1 year. They never been able to find it homegrown. You know what I mean? And Ohio State, the last 2 seasons, we haven't been able to do that. But years prior, we've been able to find it homegrown. CJ Stroud, for example, and whatnot. So it is what it is. I just think that teams have to start developing, and I'm not saying that they can't go in the transfer portal. I'm just saying they can't rely on it. And it just seems like a lot of teams have tried to rely on it over the years. Look at Texas Tech, for example. That team is the most expensive roster in all of college football for a reason, because they paid hella money in the transfer portal, right? Even Texas Longhorns, for example, they played after the game they lost to Ohio State in the semifinal the year before. They played that roster, re-signing players, bringing people from the transfer portal like crazy. $100,000 deal here, $1 million deal there, right? And it still wasn't good enough. So I just think you can only play the transfer portal so long. That's all I'm saying. You can't rely on it. Any thoughts, or did you guys get bored with that conversation? Sorry.
No, you're good. You're spot on, really. Like I said, it's going to have to be one of those we're going to revisit, because the facts will speak for themselves. I think the NIL plays into this portal more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
think you have guys that they want to develop in house, but then you have other teams that come and just offer more money, so they lose guys, so then they have to go into the portal to fill a hole that they just created by not paying a guy more money.
Which is
Yeah.
why you need to build your developmental train. It goes to exactly what Ali said.
Yeah.
The
That's
way
why-
you get out of paying big money in NIL is by bringing in recruits when it's straight out of high school and developing them into being what you are. It's funny. It's almost like that marries the NFL. Ain't
Yeah.
that crazy how that works?
That's true. That's actually what I was about to say is college football is becoming the NFL essentially. And if that's the way they want to do it, then fine. In fact, teams are starting to hire GMs. What's his name? The former quarterback of the Colts. God, what is his name? Why can I not think of his name?
Luck.
Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck is the GM of Stanford now. To give you an example. I want to say Virginia Tech and some other ACC teams have signed and hired GMs, right? I want to say South Florida has a GM too, Steve, but I could be wrong about that. Don't hold me to it. But they're hiring GMs and they're there to find talent and run it like a professional style team. And I kind of like that. I kind of like it. But at the same time, right? I see a lot of these schools taking advantage of these transfer rules and just really living there rather than develop players in house. And I'm a believer you develop from, within before you can take from out. You use the transfer portal as a band-aid, not as a source, if you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
That's what I think. Now, let's talk about the game a little bit more because I know people want to get into that review, and then we'll get into the Senior Bowl because I have a lot to say about that. So the game turned out the way exactly how I thought it would be. They came out gunning for Mendoza from the get-go. They were hitting him. They were making sure even when he wasn't getting sacked, he was getting touched somehow. They hit him from behind. They tried to take his legs out. They went for his head. There was one time I thought he got hit right in the neck and everything. He had a bloody lip. Exactly what I thought would happen. The defense went after him. What was disappointing is how long it took Miami to get Malachi Tony to start going. It seemed like in the first half, they didn't target him enough. I would say they didn't. The offense didn't seem like it was clicking enough with him there. And I think because they were able to kind of negate Malachi Tony in the beginning, it allowed Indiana to kind of hold and maintain things to eventually win the game at the end. That's what I think. Now, in the second half, Hurricanes came out with Malachi Tony. They were making plays. It was Miami is what I thought they could possibly do. But it just wasn't enough. And I knew from the get-go, I told you guys, Hurricanes, it was going to be good, but it was not going to be good enough. And Mendoza, in the moment, the biggest moments, he was clutch. And that's why he's Mr. Clutch. That's what I will call him. That's my nickname for him. He was clutch in the clutch moments. And that's what won the game. Was there any surprises to you guys?
Within the game?
Yeah, in the game. Was there any surprises?
I think. See, I guess it depends on how you look at it. I knew Miami had an elite defense. I would say there were some flashes of some guys from Indiana's offense. It kind of like you're gonna watch the process of the combine and things and see if they continue to stand out. But I think maybe we wanted to see a little more from Mendoza at times. But I think it goes back to my point about him all along. Is I really think he's just an elite game manager. I think that's what he is. He's not going to make that mistake. He's going to make the plays you need when your quarterback needs you to make them. I think that's what we'll continue to see him do at the next level. But we'll see kind of how that goes. But I mean, ultimately, it always came down to what we also talked about when it came to Miami. It was Carson Beck, making the big mistake when it mattered most, and that's what he continued to show that he does in the biggest moment is he makes those mistakes. As much as he tries not to, it always comes back to him. So it is what it is. Great season for Miami, but better season for Indiana.
Yeah, it definitely was. I want to say like some of the players that surprised me. The running back from Indiana, not their main running back, but the backup running back. I want to say his name is Black, maybe.
Yes.
Is that his name? Black. He really surprised me. I liked what I saw from him.
And he showed out at the Senior Bowl too.
Yes, he did. Yes, which we'll get into definitely. The other running back on the other side for Miami, Fletcher, he did what I expected. He performed the way I expected, and he did what he had to do. I wish I could see a little bit more. I think this season it started out hot with CJ Daniels, but they didn't really maximize with him throughout the season, and I feel like. I kind of felt like he kind of disappointed me. I don't want to say he disappointed me because he did make some plays, but I wanted to see more of it. You know what I mean? I know there's more talent there, so that was a thing. And I'm gonna say it. Carson Beck didn't impress me before the offseason, didn't impress me during the offseason. He impressed me during the Notre Dame game. But since then, he really hasn't impressed me, and he really didn't do anything that really impressed me in the national championship game. He's Carson Beck. That's what I saw.
I was gonna say I don't know what we would be looking for in Carson Beck. I mean, he's like the fundamental backup that for some reason is starting, and yeah, he stepped up and won them the game to get him to the championship. You can't take that from him. You can't
that
say
game
nothing
too.
beyond that.
Yeah.
He stepped up. But
did he really though? He just didn't make any mistakes. But
he scored the game-winning touchdown with the run. Remember that. He led the final drive and ran it in himself. And he made a play doing it. And he made a few throws in there that I believe he had one that I think he intentionally underthrew to cause the defensive pass interference in that game. So, like you can't take that from him, but it's almost like what's the phrase? Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Like that was like that one game for him, and he does that he's done that every year in college. He has like one or two games where he looks like, man, why can't you do this? For most of the games, we would be talking about you as a higher round draft pick like you wanted us to when you went back to college. Because I feel like that's the one story people haven't been talking about this year. He stayed in college to get a better draft pick, and he didn't help himself at all. Like, at all.
Yeah.
He might have made it worse, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I kind of think I kind of agree with that. There's some players that I would agree stay in college for another year, and then there's some players that why did you stay another year? You just made it worse for yourself, right? Because I personally think Carson Beck. I'll give you an example. He kind of reminds me of Ewers, right? Ewers had all this promise throughout his career, and everybody thought he'd be a first round talent, only to become what, a 6th round, 7th round pick, right?
Yep.
And Carson Beck had all this promise, won the national championship, did everything you possibly could do, with the Bulldogs. He should have just retired, to be honest. Not retired, but went to the draft. That's what he should have done. And it is what it is. I think he would have been drafted much higher than what I think he's going to be drafted now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Something could surprise me, to be honest.
I did want to point out too, real quick.
Go ahead.
I think that one thing about this game, because I don't think there was an elite running back in this game. I don't think there was a great running back in this game. I thought there were good running backs that showed when you have really, really good blocking offensive line in front of you can make you even more effective than you are. Now, I'll give Fletcher this. I don't think he's a great running back, but he's physical. And if you ain't coming with the right angle to tackle him, you're getting stiff armed and he's walking through you. That's what he's done every time he's on the field. That's just who he is. Now, again, like I said, I don't think he's a great running back. I think he's good. So that's a good showing for him. And then next year, they're going to really, I think, continue to show that from him. I think he'll be a middle tier drafted running back, somewhere in the third, fourth, maybe even a little bit later. But he's both teams' running backs, including the kid Black from Indiana who showed out, like you said, at Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be a hidden gem. But I also don't be fooled because these offensive lines were getting pushed at the line of scrimmage and creating gaps for these kids to run free through.
Yep. I'm with you. I mean, I want to correct something. Not really correct something, but I do want to make a statement on this. I know I said that Malachi Tony just didn't do very much for me. He did in the second half. In the second half, I mean, God, this guy had a lot of receptions, had 122 yards. He had like 10 receptions for the game and a touchdown. That's awesome. But in the first half, you go back and look at that first half, he just, I didn't really see him out there. I was asking where Malachi Tony was. I didn't see it.
And that's the thing. Is it Malachi Tony's, that he wasn't trying to be there, or was it Chris Ignetti having his defense know and seek out Mr. Tony to make sure that he wasn't impacting the game?
I think they had him covered. I think that's really what it was. But I will say this. I also blame Carson Beck for not at least trying to look to see if he was there. Because there was times I saw that he wasn't really looking at Malachi. I'm like, really? He's your best player. You're not going to look at him? I saw that a few times. But it is what it is. This game turned out exactly how I thought it would be. What did you guys think of the Miami Hurricanes defensive line? Do you think it stayed the same throughout the whole game, or was there a drop off from the second half from the first half to the second half?
Well, I'd say second half when they really turned it on.
I thought they turned it on in the beginning in the first half, to be honest.
Maybe I'm thinking about that wrong. I'm just thinking about when they started to get momentum and get back in the game and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They had some impactful plays that allowed them to maintain momentum on the comeback. If those plays aren't made by that D line, then you probably don't see that momentum continue to swing the way it was at times. But I would say not as impactful as game prior because they ran into a very sound offensive line group.
Yep. I will say this, and I know this was kind of like a running joke at some point. Ruben Bain showed up in this game. 8 total tackles, 5 solo, 1 sack, and then 2.5 tackles for loss. That's a pretty good game for him, to be honest.
Absolutely.
The other guy who had a crap ton of tackles, Mohamed Toure, I think is how you say his name. I could be wrong about that. 11 total tackles. That was pretty, and he also had a pass that he defended. That was pretty impressive as well. The defense did what I thought they could do. I just think that Indiana's offense and having a quarterback that can be clutch at any moment. Yeah, I think he just outweighed and did enough to win the game. I think that's what it comes down to.
I think their best run was I believe it was just before halftime, and then that first drive after halftime. Because if I remember correctly, God, it's been 2 weeks. Indiana scored just before halftime, correct?
Yeah, I believe they did.
And they got the ball coming out of halftime, and everyone, I know we were talking about it here. We were like, this is where Indiana could start to put the foot on the neck and start walking away. And then they got the stop, and that defense just kept getting stops, and that offense Miami's offense just could not get it going at all.
Yeah, they got the touchdown in the second half. No, I'm sorry, second half, the second quarter, right? It was 10-0 Indiana. And then Miami wasn't able to score until the third quarter. The third quarter
Exactly. But the
is when
defense was showing up that entire time. Like I felt so bad for that defense, and I've been giving Bane, grief
we all have. Yeah.
all
Yeah.
all year because I expect more. This is what I expect you to do. And I'll be honest with you, early in the game he had disappeared. I was, oh, here we go. And then the second quarter and he started to pop up again. And then the third quarter he popped up again. And then the fourth quarter he started making plays. Like and that's what I was asking for. Like just impact the game. I don't want to hear pressures. I don't like tackles for loss is great. That's what I want to hear. But I don't want to hear pressures, man. Like Chop Robinson was pressuring the crap out of people, but he never got sacks. And now look at him in the NFL. A lot of pressures, not a lot of sacks there. I don't want to see that. I want to see you. I don't care how many people are on you. I want to see you impacting the game. And that's what he did. And that's all I ever asked for.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I definitely thought he impacted the game. I thought, like I said, this is one of the best games I've seen him play. And I did feel bad for that defense because they came to play. It just, the offense just, I mean, it wasn't that they did horrible. They had like a little comeback going. It's just that they got into their groove too late in the game at that point. One other thing I want to point is, and going back to Curt Cignetti, and this is how much I respect this man. I knew when Indiana won the game, and it wasn't at the end of the game. It wasn't when they were leading. It was when Curt Cignetti finally cracked a smile, after they scored a touchdown. Because he all season, this guy doesn't smile at all. He looks at you and says, "You could have done that 1,000 times better." You know what I mean? Like it was like you just did something horrible. And he finally cracked a smile after all season. I was like, yeah, they got this game. This game's over. That's when I knew Indiana won. But shout out to the Hoosiers. I think that city where Indiana's at and how they filled, they filled their city. And I don't know if you guys saw the videos after the game, people in the streets in the winter, screaming their heads off and everything. Shout out to them. They're very well deserved. It was a very interesting, wild a season, in my opinion. Not just the college football national championship, but the whole thing from the playoffs, before the playoffs, throughout the season. It was kind of crazy. What are your guys' final thoughts on this game before we move on?
I'm just excited to see what year 3 of Curt Cignetti brings to Indiana. Again, is this the beginning of the Indiana dynasty? Or, can Miami find a way to get back with the right quarterback and get the job done? Or will they not be there next year? I mean, you just never know. I enjoyed the game for what it was. I enjoyed watching the runs by both teams. Again, probably one of the more watchable college football games for myself when it comes to the national championship in quite some time. I was definitely invested and enjoyed watching it. So I look forward to more games like that for sure.
What about you, Steve? Any final thoughts on this game?
Couldn't have asked for a better national championship game. The underdog story at its finest. The story alone could be a movie. You could literally make it, and you could do it on either side of the ball, right? Like you could make one about Indiana and the greatness and coming from the dirt and being this terrible franchise. Like this is Rudy. Like that story is a movie. But the same thing with Miami, right?
Mm-hmm.
You bring this school that was embarrassed and got their what's it called? The things you can give the kids to get them to.
Who here's seen the movie Hoosiers? You seen the movie Hoosiers?
No, I haven't.
Gene Hackman plays the head coach of this Indiana basketball team, right? And I'm pretty sure it's the movie Hoosiers, the one I'm remembering. Let me actually just verify that before I tell you the story. But either way, I'm going to tell you the story. Hold on. I'm pretty sure it's Gene Hackman. Yes,
But
it
anyway,
is Gene Hackman.
just to
It is-
finish the thought real quick.
Go
But
ahead.
they had the Miami Hurricanes got embarrassed. They got in trouble. They lost their eligibility to give out scholarships and have been kind of floundering trying to find their way back to the prominence of what they were in the 90s, right?
Mhm.
That them great Hurricane teams. And that's what we saw. And it's nice to have had a national championship game that didn't have Alabama or Georgia in it. And they were both physically great teams.
Mhm. So, yeah, I definitely agree with your take about both teams that they could make a movie about it. Because to be honest, this was I hate to use this term because both teams were really good, but technically they were both underdog bowls, right? Miami having to take the long route, you know, had possibility of playing teams like Georgia and in the other SEC teams. And then you had Indiana that they've never been there. They've been this team that they've lost more so than any other program in college football history. Right? They hadn't been relevant since 1965. There's a movie called Hoosiers, which is about an Indiana basketball team, high school basketball team, with Gene Hackman. And Kurt Signetti reminds me of this guy because the Gene Hackman portrays this hard-nosed, don't take any BS coach, right? And that's what Kurt Signetti is. And it's talking about all these trials and triumphs that they had to endure and whatnot. And even though certain things happened, they kept going and getting all the way to the state final. That's what kind of reminded me for both of these teams, right? I kind of felt like this is that kind of a story for both teams because there's one point Miami was on the cusp of not making the college football playoff at all. There had to be a TV campaign just to debate why they deserved it, So for me, great game. It's what I expected. I love the storylines for both teams. I think both teams were definitely deserving, and congratulations to the Hoosiers for finally winning it. But I am going to disagree with Mystic. Kurt Signetti is not going to be the next one to do it. Another Big Ten team, possibly in Pennsylvania with a brand new head coach, could be the next one to do it for the Big Ten and win the national championship game. Hot take.
Taco back, baby.
That's what I'm saying. That's a hot take there. But it'll be interesting. Will it be Kurt Signetti to be the first Big Ten team to win back-to-back national championships for the Big Ten? Or will it be another Big Ten team that finally rises from the ashes? We have a lot of talent in this Big Ten, so it'll be very, very interesting. But congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers. Congratulations for the hard fight and awesome college football playoff that the Miami Hurricanes provided. They even beat my team. What can I say? They were very well deserved. But we have more to talk about. This Senior Bowl, right? We want to finish this off with some news about upcoming events and events that have already passed. The Senior Bowl was this past weekend. It was very interesting. It wasn't as exciting. I want to say the East and West Shrine Bowl was a little bit more exciting to me, but there were some players that I think, really increased their value a little bit. Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback out of LSU, he's being touted as the MVP and key prospect to watch after the Senior Bowl. I also got some players that they're saying that really may have kind of hurt themselves with the Senior Bowl. I don't know if you guys want to hear about that, but there's 5 NFL prospects that they say kind of hurt themselves when it comes to their draft stock.
Why don't you hit us with those? Why don't you hit us with the 5 worst? And I got a nice little
Five
Well,
best. Okay.
yeah, like 5 or 6 that have popped. So let's go
Well,
with that.
this guy, I hope he has no connections with our current head coach for our pro team. But Boston College offensive tackle Jude Bowery, Bowry, Bowery, I think, struggled during one-on-one matchups, showing his inability to be left on an island. He lacks the foot quickness and lateral movements to win against next-level speed. Yeah, no, thank you. I don't want any of that. Next guy, and Calvin might be upset with this. USC's wide receiver Jacoby Lane. He's athletically gifted, they said, but struggled during the Senior Bowl week to create separation consistently at the intermediate and deep levels off the field. He's likely becoming a midday three pick. Wow. This is the biggest name on here on this list. They say QB Diego Pavia did not impress. Pavia wasn't horrible, but he wasn't flashy either. He was primarily average, but his major concern throughout the week was his height. He measured in at 5'9". There you go. Pavia is not 6 foot, unlike some rumors that people wanted to put out there.
Yep.
Which is not ideal for a long-term starting quarterback in the NFL. He could slide to a late day 3 or UDFA. Vanderbilt's QB could be a UDFA, according to this article. Very interesting.
At 5'9", I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. How tall is Kyle Murray, if you don't mind me asking?
5'10".
I guess that 1 inch makes a difference.
And it's not even a whole inch. It's like an eighth of an inch difference. But he would technically be the smallest quarterback in the NFL.
Wow. Interesting. This is an interesting one. Syracuse tight end Dan Valeri, I think is how you say it, struggled at all phases of the game during the week. He couldn't sustain blocks due to inadequate pad level and inability to generate power. And Penn State safety Zachy Wheatley, I'll go with Zachy, I think is how you say it. Wheatley lacked the desired traits for an NFL safety during the week. He showed little physicality downhill and struggled at the point of attack. There was no impressive reps in coverage as well. That's very interesting. I'm very surprised what they had to say about, Diego Pavia, because there was a lot of people on that train, and I know some of the fans are going to be really upset because they, people, like to put out their bird chest for him and everything. What are you guys' thoughts on those 5 players that kind of hurt themselves in this draft? I want to say Pavia and Jacoby Lane were the surprise ones on there. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Steve.
No, I don't think I kind of said it already. Pavia couldn't hurt himself anymore, and he already did. I never saw it. I know the Heisman, and he was the runner-up. I never saw it, especially at that size.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think he's one of those QBs that you can put him into a system, but that's all he can do well. He can't do anything outside of that well. I think it's just that system. Kind of like what we have now, kind of.
Outside of that, I don't think anybody really, Jacoby Lane, I wasn't a big fan of. He had some, it was all traits and no substance. So, yeah, I don't think there was anybody in that list that I had high hopes for that necessarily, I think I get they're saying it hurt their stock. I don't think they had, maybe Lane might be the only one in that I think really hurt them that had some stock, in my opinion.
I think Pavia being a Heisman finalist and then finding out he's 5'9", it definitely doesn't bode well for him. Was playing at a high level when it mattered, except for when he ran into a top 10 defense in Iowa, and they showed him the business. So he's been on a downtrend since his peak was being a Heisman finalist, and that he peaked. It's all down from here. Again, to your point, I in the article, I don't wouldn't surprise me one bit if he is a UDFA.
Interesting. What were your thoughts? You had some other players that you wanted to bring up.
So On the contrary, we have some people who were some lookers, if you will, guys that kind of were doing some flashy things. People, I've heard a couple of these people, a couple of these guys I haven't heard of.
Yep.
It's possible you guys have probably heard of them. So we got an offensive tackle out of Arizona State, Max Henekor. Projected to be a first or second round pick at this point. They said they're not sure. He got beat all week in practice. The dude's 6'6", 325, and has quick hands and feet as one of the biggest bodies at practice. Best of all, he's young and still has room to get better. Definitely a physical specimen, and he's a right tackle.
And he can move.
Yep.
I mean,
Definitely. Like I said, he definitely flashed. Huge flash. You have another offensive lineman that kind of surprised me too. That maybe I'm not looking as much in depth to the University of Florida and kind of the talent they have at the individual position. I kind of look at the overall team, and they didn't really gel. Nothing really crazy flashed to me, but their center, Jake Slaughter, definitely his flash looks great as a potential in NFL ready interior lineman. 6'4", 305. Pretty much handled his blocking like just business all week. No problems. Rarely losing 11-on-11 work. Really looked fluid when they had him in good situations.
Slaughter, much like the Iowa center, both of them, I think you could translate to guard because of their size.
100%. Another interesting player here, FCS quarterback, from North Dakota State, Cole Payton. Interesting here. I'm saying he could be a late round, if not a UDFA, but what's flashed about him, he's a 6'2", 230, has good accuracy anticipation. There was a clean pocket pressure and blitz efficiency metric for past North Dakota State quarterback prospects. We had Trey Lance at a 5.19, former first round pick, right? And you had Carson Wentz, a 7.19, again, former good pick, overall, top pick. And you got this Cole Payton, significantly more efficient than both of those quarterbacks at an 11.89. So this kid can definitely process and get, take care of the football in clean pressure blitz. Like he knows what he's doing. Like it's interesting to see. That's that gamble. That's that North Dakota State gamble. Are you going to get that guy, or is it just going to be kind of a one and done, kind of what we've seen with some of these guys? Like it's very interesting to see what North Dakota State quarterbacks turn into.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see. We'll fly up here. This one's been obviously here we go. We'll transfer to my homerisms in the Iowa situation. You guys think I'm going to talk about offense, but I'm actually going to talk defense here. I thought this guy was going to be more on the later rounds. From what I had seen mock drafts way early, obviously they had this guy as like a seventh round pick. And after what we saw this week, he's flashed, and they're thinking maybe third, fourth round pick now. Max Llewellyn, edge rusher out of Iowa, 6'5", 255. They like his size, his ability to consistently disrupt, and his ability to stop the run. Just an overall good edge rusher. Kid has a nasty spin move. He had a nasty spin move that, like, dude was like, "Hey, I got you. Where'd you go?" It was nasty. Nice to see things like that. There's just some guys you really just got to pay attention to. And then, in my opinion, the guy that you've heard the most about, he's been an absolute problem. I think one of the best offensive linemen that we've seen at the Senior Bowl would be, in my opinion, Jennings Dunker, right? He's only one of the only guys to handle this dude one-on-one, and it's Lee Hunter, defensive tackle out of Texas Tech. That dude has been absolutely wrecking people. Just an absolute force, 6'3", 320, fluid, enormous size, very strong individual. He's going to be one of those rare talents that if he lands in the right situation, he's going to hit the ground running.
He has 34 and a quarter inch arms, by the way.
Yeah, that's...
He was the player I was going to talk about next, but go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'll take it, man. You got some more stuff. Take it.
I was going to say that he's projected in the second round. However, after this performance of what he did in the Senior Bowl, they have him projected as a first-round pick for a lot of teams. I do think this guy definitely has the size, 320 pounds, 6'3", as he said. He has 9-inch hands. His hand size is 9 inches, right? He does look like to be a guy that could be definitely a ball buster when you're facing him from the other side. His weakness that they say, though, is that he can easily be displaced against offensive linemen who are washing down and clearing, lacking the awareness of the movement. That's what they do say that some of his weaknesses are. But his strengths, he possessed an explosive first step, getting to the body of the offensive lineman quickly with good pad level and hand usage to create leverage. Against the run, he wins against base blocks and generates pressure into the backfield, often making plays or forcing them to redirect. He can penetrate combos effectively, shooting through with good foot quickness and lateral movement. Overall, he's big body and can clog up multiple gaps and create havoc against the run, which I really like that about him. I really like the fact that they say he's really good against the run. As a defensive tackle, it's not always going after, the quarterback. You're really there to clog up the run, to be honest. And it sounds like he does that very well. So he's a guy that I have my eye on. Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. What do you got, Steve?
I was going to say, if I could add one that I didn't see throughout the week, Malachi Fields was decimating every corner that was on him. I don't know so much in the game, because obviously, like I said, I didn't get to watch it because of reasons, but during practice, he was eating everyone up. And I mean, you're talking about a 6'4" wide receiver with the ability to run routes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it right there. So he was on the list too that I had.
He had his contested catch ability and quick release off the line. Very, very impressed coaches from what I heard. There is another wide receiver I'd like to talk about that impressed, but go ahead with your take first.
He might not have like that super flashy speed, but the way that the dude can create separation through running routes is going to be just elite for him. Because he's a big guy and he's got some good hands.
You know who he reminds me of?
What you got?
And people may not like this. AJ Brown.
I can see that.
Interesting. AJ Brown was, for me, I've been following AJ Brown for a long time, even prior to the Ole Miss days. So very, very interesting.
What's the wide receiver you got though, Ollie? Who you got?
So I had this guy kind of on my sleeper list. I was going to save him for when we talk about sleepers for the draft, but he kind of broke the news a little bit in the Senior Bowl. So it's no longer so much a sleeper because everybody kind of found out what he can do. Tyron Montgomery out of John Carroll. He is a 5 foot, I think he's 5'11" receiver. Blew coaches out of the water. He blew away Power 5 competition in drills. NFL scouts were impressed with his ability to track and catch the ball despite limited college level experience. Let me see what else did they talk about him There were some other notes I had about him I wanted to bring up. Let me bring that up here. Just give me 1 second to find what I want to talk about.
While you look that up, and
Yeah.
and I know Mystics heard me mention this name before. I think I've said it to you too. There's an edge player out of Florida in this draft, and he's been flying under the radar, and he impressed during practice. The son of the Hall of Famer, Warren Sapp, Tyreek Sapp, the edge out of Florida. He has the build to be a 4-3 D end or a 3-4 outside linebacker.
Intrigues me.
Very intriguing. So, just to give you a comparison, so Malachi Fields, the guy Steve was talking about, is 6'4", 218 pounds out of Notre Dame, right? Tyron Montgomery is 5'11" and only 190 pounds out of John Carroll. Montgomery was the story of the week coming into the D3 school from John Carroll University. Nobody expected to see what they saw, and that was one of the best receivers at the Senior Bowl. He was incredible, blowing scouts away with his ability to beat Power 5 corners. He showed speed ability to track the ball, incredible athleticism on jump balls. He's a converted basketball player, new to the position, but his football IQ showed up both on the field and in interviews. He earned his way to the draft, and he maybe end up going a lot higher than people think. That is what people are saying about him. So I want to see more. I'm going to watch tape on this kid. I heard about him. I was told that he's definitely going to be a sleeper, but now seeing what they say about him in the Senior Bowl, it's kind of confirming what I was told. So I'm going to watch some more tape, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be on my list, but I don't know if I should put him on the sleeper list now that the cat's out of the bag. You know what I'm saying? That takes the whole premise of being a sleeper away. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, he's a guy that I'm really interested to see his path to the draft. So definitely. Any other players that you guys had anything notes about that you want to talk about?
I do got probably like two more quick ones here, just because one of them's kind of interesting. I don't know. I always like TCU players when they pop up. I don't know. It's just also about the Horned Frogs. I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah, safety Bud Clark.
Another one I had on my list. Go ahead.
6'1", 185 pounds. Showed up, made plays every day. He proved he can read and anticipate quarterback decisions at a high rate. Like, I think that was the biggest thing, is his ability to diagnose what's going on and just say, I'm going to make a play. Had a really nice, from the safety position, covering that deep part of the field. Quarterback tried to fit it in. He breaks over the top, gets the interception. Really good anticipation, really good speed. Again, when the guy decides, hey, this is what I'm doing, I mean, he gets there. I like to see it. Another one, 6 foot, 228-pound running back, Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Hit 21.02 miles per hour, the fastest among running backs at the Senior Bowl. There's no other back combined power, vision, hands, and pass protection at the size that this dude is. Like, and to have that speed, instant acceleration, dude can be a threat and can absolutely lay a hammer. I think that's a guy. They're showing him maybe 4th round. I think he goes up to the 3rd round after the combine. I think people are going to be looking at this kid saying, okay, we could do something with this guy.
What was the name of that receiver? Or that person?
Back, Mike Washington Jr.
Oh, yes. I did hear about him as well. I do want to go back to Bud Clark, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So Bud Clark, 6'1", 185 pounds out of TCU. He was projected in the late 4th round initially, right? But what they saw, his ball skills really popped out on tape and in interviews and everything. They're saying now that he's jumped not only a whole round, but possibly into the late second round is where he's at this point. He had a very good week in mobile, which elevated his stock. Came into the game as a high fourth round, as I already told you. He got a new nickname during practice week at the Senior Bowl. They call him Stingy, because that's what he was. He was stinging receivers and harassing them in the deep side of the field. Just so you know that. He also, some things that they said is that he has very good run ability, which means that he can stop the run. He does the work. He does what he needs to stop players in the run game as well. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty. Interesting thing. I have a little, there's this article I'm reading. They have a little interview that they did with him, and he had some interesting things to say. One of the things they asked him was, you have consistently shown up in the one-on-one drills, some smooth shadowing with receivers and tight ends. What is your technique? He says, I use quickness to stay with the faster receivers. Tight ends are tricky because they're always taller and way more than a safety. They will slam you right away and will stick out their shoulder or hip to push you aside. I have to get up under them, or they will use their girth on passing downs. I have to be just as physical, or else they will do this all game to you. You have to be as physical. I can jump routes with anticipation and use my size to press receivers off their routes. That was very interesting. Another thing that popped out to me is that this kid has played 61 games at TCU. So he has a lot of experience as well. I know for the team that we support, we need a safety. This is a guy I kind of have my eye on. I want to see, I want to watch some tape on him. But reading the interview, if you go and read some of the articles and listening to him talk about his style of play and the physicality that he brings, he's an interesting prospect to look at. So I just wanted to point that out.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I do think I have one more up my sleeve here. Obviously, everyone's talking about Texas Tech, their linebacker, Jacob Rodriguez, very solid linebacker.
Yep.
There's another guy who's put together multiple days during the practices for the Senior Bowl, knocked away passes, stripped a ball carrier. Dude's just making plays. Linebacker Kyle Lewis out of Pitt. 6 foot, 224, flash speed, closing in on ball, carriers, showing vision. One of those playmakers that, again, if you're being compared to a Jacob Rodriguez, you're putting yourself in a good category there.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Rodriguez is what, up there, first, second round talent type stuff. This kid's, I think, one of those, what we can label a dark horse. Definitely a dark horse linebacker that could make an impact for you probably sooner rather than later if you have a young team.
Yep. Definitely. Very interesting. A lot of talent in the Senior Bowl. We're going to be talking a lot about it this offseason. I cannot wait. We have a lot of cool shows that we have planned, including a mock draft that we'll do here. But the path to the draft is going to be interesting this offseason. Any final thoughts or any other players you wanted to bring up, Steve?
Yeah, actually I did. And I know we try to separate it, but because we are all Dolphin fans, Quintavious Hutchins out of Boston College, the edge, recorded 3 tackles for loss and a sack during the game. So just a name to keep an ear out for. And I feel like we would be doing a disservice if we didn't mention one of the names at running back this year. Where did it go? The kid from, I believe it was Stanford or Penn State. Can someone help me out here?
What position?
The running back. Here it is. Nick Singleton from Penn State. That's what it was. Broke his foot during practice Thursday. He was one of the names in the running back class this year. I don't know if it will hurt his stock, but it's something to monitor because that would be a steal if he falls somewhere to the 5th round because of the foot.
Yeah, I do think it will hurt his stock, to be honest. Running backs are generally a second day type of player anyway. Having a broken foot, he's going to have to show he can come back for that. He's not going to get to participate in any of the pro days, workouts or anything like that, or the combine or whatever. So it'll be kind of interesting.
The last name, which I'm surprised neither one of you brought up, Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky, the interior offensive guard that performed all week. I don't think he ended up playing in the game, but during practice, he was dominating edges, defensive tackles. He's one of the only people who mentioned that Mystic mentioned, the defensive tackle out of Texas. He stood him up. So just keep an eye out. Jalen Farmer out of Kentucky.
Yeah, really, there was only a handful.
There's one other one. I don't know if Mystic brought him up because I was trying to find information. Maybe you did. Did you bring up the kid from Missouri?
No, sir.
Zion Young is a guy. I know some people think that we're kind of weak at edge. You know what I mean? The Dolphins I'm talking about. That's the guy I'm kind of looking at for our team, sort of. Not necessarily Zion specifically, but that position group. So I'm going to be looking at people there because I think we could address that position. Maybe not with the 1st round pick, but 2nd or 3rd round, very possibly. So keep an eye out. But Zion Young, he got MVP honors for his performance at the Senior Bowl. He had 2 tackles. I heard he looked pretty good. That's what I heard. So definitely a name to watch.
And shout out to Garrett Nussmeier for getting the offensive MVP, even though I will say it was based on 57 yards passing.
Let me ask you this real hot take. I know it's way too early for the draft because we got combine and we got all the pro days and stuff to get through. But knowing what you saw in the Senior Bowl, right, and you compare it to his college performance, right? Did Nussmeier do enough to raise his stock? Because I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people are talking about Ty Simpson. I think Ty Simpson might not be a day 1 guy. He might be a day 2 or even 3 guy, to be honest.
I mean, Garrett Nussmeier was considered the best QB in this class at one time, remember?
I remember a lot of people were high on him for sure.
Because they saw Joe Burrow in him. He's mobile enough. He doesn't have a strong arm. He's on the shorter side, which is all the things that are negative for him. But he is a processor. He processes the field very well. This year did not help that stock. It hurt him. This showing, even though I think it was underwhelming, personally, I understand why people saw it, because I don't think any of the QBs played necessarily all that well from what I understand.
Yeah.
He threw an interception on a tip pass. It was tipped because the ball was high. It was not accurate. It was, I get it. I'm being nitpicky, but when you have it was a layered throw, but it was high. And it kind of had to be because of how he threw it. Like, again, I'm nitpicking, but it's 57 yards passing. He was 5 of 8. I don't know what to do with that other than he made a few nice throws. Could this have helped his stock? I think it did. It showed that he continues to be what he's always been, which is an efficient passer. I don't know if it outplays what Ty Simpson did earlier this year at Alabama, though.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's just something to think about. I was really kind of impressed with some of the stuff I saw from Nussmeier. So I'm just curious what you guys thought about him. But talking about him being a shorter guy, doesn't have a strong arm, but he processes the field. That doesn't speak NFL starter to me. That sounds like NFL backup. Just going to be honest. You know,
Hey,
if,
you're down to something there.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If you don't have the strongest arm, you can process the field, but you're a smaller guy. Sounds like a backup.
Just to be clear, he's 6'1", 205.
He's on the smaller end. You're right. It's not the biggest guy, but he's not the smallest guy either.
No.
I want to say anything under 6'3" is considered small for the NFL.
6'2" is the border. Like right at if you're like 6'2", we can get away, but you have to have an arm.
Yeah, you have to have the arm.
Or you have to be mobile. Like you have to be like Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick kind of mobile to get beyond that. That's why Kyler worked out.
Yeah, you're right. But that's it, folks. That's it for me. That's all the final thoughts I have. Do you guys have any other final thoughts? That was, I guess, our bottom line. We didn't even do our little graphics. Sorry. Kind of out of it.
Good. Honestly, great conversation. I think that's all I had. I'm, excited to continue to look at these prospects through the process to the combine to see how these drafts are going to break down. So it's an exciting time for prospects when it comes to the off season for college and the NFL.
Definitely. And like I said, everybody make sure you hit the like button, right? Hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new. Come over to @4th&10U. Follow us on this side. We're trying to grow the channel, right? Once we get to 100 followers, we're going to have a great giveaway. We're not only giving away a hat, we're a college team of your choice, but we're also giving out trading cards. These are good cards too. Nothing crazy, nothing that's not worth looking at. Let me just put it that way. But there's going to be some exciting cards. I'm going to get my boy on the show so he can talk more about those cards we're giving away and some other stuff that's coming up. But everybody hit the like button. We'll see you in the next time. Steve, any final thoughts?
No, I'm good.
All right, man. Talk to you guys next time. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a good night.